18 Abandoned Houses of Black Celebrities Who Have Died. Michael Jackson, James Brown, or Aretha Franklin are shocking names associated with fortunes left abandoned after their passing. You will be stunned to hear their stories about the emptiness behind the brilliant spotlight. We are our memory vault, your companion in this video. This video is designed to be a comforting friend, suitable for you to enjoy during your moments of rest at a warm family dinner or while doing light housework. All the information in this video has been carefully researched and filtered from various sources by the Our Memory Vault team. However, knowledge is endless. If there are any details you would like to contribute, please do not hesitate to leave a comment below so we can improve every day. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and turn on notifications to be the first to watch our latest videos. Now, let us begin right away with the first figures. Michael Jackson. When mentioning Michael Jackson, we not only remember the king of pop with his masterful dance moves, but also Neverland Ranch, a dreamland that once existed in real life. For our generation, those who grew up with the melodies of Billie Jean or Heal the World, Neverland was not simply a farm or a luxurious mansion. It was once the symbol of a childhood that Michael longed to make up for, a place filled with laughter, an amusement park, and an animal sanctuary. That splendor once made the whole world marvel and wish to set foot there just once. However, the wheels of time and the storms of life washed away its inherent brilliance. Following exhausting legal events and public judgments, Michael permanently left Neverland in 2005, leaving behind a once bustling land, now sinking into a heartbreaking silence. The Ferris wheels stopped turning, the pathways were devoid of people, all creating a sorrowful picture of the fleeting nature of glory. The massive estate gradually turned into a heavily burdened property, forced to be renamed and sold at a much lower price than its original true value. Our Memory Vault's perspective shows that the desolation of Neverland reflects the profound loneliness of a genius. The aura, the supreme wealth, and the efforts to build a perfect world ultimately could not bring peace to his soul. The story of this house reminds us that behind the solid iron gates and colossal fortunes, true happiness is sometimes the greatest luxury. If the cold desolation of Neverland is enough to make your heart ache, wait for the next figure. His massive fortune became the center of a bitter battle, tearing family bonds apart the moment he was laid to rest. James Brown. Moving on to the second figure, let us look back at the life of the godfather of soul, James Brown, a true legend who rose from the very depths of hardship. His colossal estate in Beach Island was not just a home, but a living testament to his extraordinary will to rise above. For audiences mesmerized by his signature raspy voice and passionate performance style, this house was once a grand symbol of success. It marked the triumph of a man who never surrendered to fate, single-handedly building an illustrious musical empire. However, after he passed away on Christmas Day in 2006, instead of becoming a celebrated legacy, this estate fell into a spiral of prolonged legal disputes. Silence engulfed the rooms that were once vibrant with music. His belongings were removed and auctioned off, and his noble intention of using his wealth to fund children's education was overshadowed by personal conflicts. The once great house suddenly became the epicenter of endless battles, leaving fans feeling deeply saddened. In our view, the cold emptiness of James Brown's estate offers a profound lesson on how we manage and preserve our legacy. Even if you build a massive fortune through sweat and tears without cohesion and clear guidance for those left behind, everything can vanish in the blink of an eye. That empty house now lacks not only the warmth of its owner, but also the peace he always yearned for in his final years. Aretha Franklin. We cannot overlook the Queen of Soul. Aretha Franklin, a voice that became an indelible cultural legacy in the minds of music lovers. Her classic red brick mansion in Detroit, built in 1927, was once a symbol of the authority and pride of a black artist. It not only housed priceless memorabilia, but was also a peaceful sanctuary where soul-stirring melodies once echoed. For those who spent their youth with her music, this home represents dignity and grace. But when the legendary voice faded in 2018, the fate of the house also sank into the shadows of endless debates. The fact that she did not leave a formally typed will sparked disagreements within her family. As a result, the once gorgeous mansion was hastily sold at a price that left many astounded, completely incommensurate with the stature of the Queen of Soul. The rooms filled with brilliant memories suddenly became bare, giving way to the coldness and boundless regret of her fans. Our memory vault believes that the quiet and somewhat bitter transfer of Aretha Franklin's estate is a sorrowful example of the fragile boundary between brilliant glory and harsh reality. Greatness in art does not always come with fulfillment in perfectly arranging the assets left behind. That house, though it has now changed hands, will always remain a gentle yet poignant reminder that no matter how resounding the fame, it cannot shelter a home when the consensus of family is missing. Do not look away just yet, because our list still holds names that will leave you stunned. Up next, an angelic voice who ended up trapped in a magnificent castle where fame could not save her from ultimate despair. Whitney Houston. In the fourth position, our hearts ache as we look at Whitney Houston's private residence in New Jersey, a name that always evokes intense emotions for music lovers worldwide. With her soaring voice and extraordinary vocal power, Whitney was once the embodiment of perfection. Her luxurious mansion was once considered the pinnacle of the American dream, the site of a lavish wedding, and the keeper of the most glorious years of her career. Viewed from the outside, it was a magnificent fortress, completely detached from the chaos of the entertainment world, giving the impression of a supremely fulfilled and happy life. Regrettably, those solid walls unintentionally imprisoned a deeply troubled soul. Hidden beneath the glamorous facade were heavy pressures, struggles with emotional hardships, and a marriage full of ups and downs. When Whitney suddenly passed away, the house transformed from a radiant home into a sorrowful relic, exposing a vast emptiness that fame could never fill. The massive fortune no longer served as a shield, but gradually became a testament to a life drained by the very heat of stardom. Through this story, our memory vault wishes to convey a profound message. Not every grand house contains a peaceful heart. What the public sees is merely the tip of the iceberg. The desolation of Whitney Houston's mansion lies not in it growing old with time, but in the absence of true joy from the one who lived there. The spotlight can buy magnificent castles, but it can never be exchanged for a restful sleep and inner peace. Prince. Finally, in this section, we step into the mystical world of Prince through Paisley Park, an architectural and artistic symbol inseparable from his name. For middle-aged fans, Paisley Park was not just a mansion. It was a creative fortress, a place Prince personally designed to protect his music and privacy from the prying eyes of the public. The elegant white building in Minnesota once witnessed the blossoming of a genius, where all traditional musical rules were broken to make way for absolute freedom. Yet the very place considered his safest haven was also the site of his final moments. Prince's sudden passing inside the elevator of Paisley Park left a massive shock to the entire world. The place that was once overflowing with passionate melodies suddenly sank into an invisible silence. Although the estate was later converted into a museum to welcome the public, the true essence of the house has forever changed. It is no longer a living art workshop, but merely a space preserving memories that have frozen in time. Standing before Paisley Park today, our memory vault feels a quiet, profound sadness. The abandonment here is not physical, but an emptiness of the soul. When the brilliant artist is gone, every instrument and every lavish room becomes lifeless. The story of Prince and Paisley Park closes this first part with a heartbreaking realization. There are houses that, no matter how carefully preserved, will forever remain desolate because the only soul that gave them life has departed for eternity. Marvin Gaye. When mentioning Marvin Gaye, our generation of middle-aged audiences can never forget a smooth, expressive voice that once soothed countless souls through timeless masterpieces. He was a legend with the ability to turn the struggles of his time, the yearning for love, and deep-seated loneliness into beautiful melodies. His family home in Los Angeles was originally expected to be a peaceful sanctuary, a safe haven where the famous singer could shed the heavy pressures of the entertainment industry, exhausting tours, and his struggles with mental health. It was supposed to be a place filled with love, sheltering him from the storms of life. However, fate sometimes brings incredibly cruel turns. That magnificent house inadvertently became the witness to one of the most heartbreaking family tragedies in music history. In the spring of 1984, a deep and unbridgeable conflict between family members led to Marvin Gaye's sudden passing right under his own roof. When he died, the estate not only lost its talented owner, but it also took on a haunting silence. The large rooms suddenly became a place storing unresolved family pains, a heavy spiritual legacy that no one wished to revisit or inherit. The perspective of our memory vault reveals that the emptiness of Marvin Gaye's house carries a deeply philosophical meaning about the value of family. Wealth and fame can help a person fill stadiums with tens of thousands of fans, but they are not necessarily enough to buy harmony and peace inside a home. This story is a gentle yet poignant wake-up call for all of us. No matter how successful we are in society, nurturing understanding, tolerance, and love among blood relatives is the only key to creating a true home where storms must stop behind the door. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was a theatrical monument, a brilliant stand-up comedian who used laughter to strip bare the most sharp-edged truths of society. His sprawling estate in Northridge was once considered the clearest testament to the life-changing dream of a boy born into extreme poverty. For audiences who were captivated by his intelligence, honesty, and unconventional acting style, this property represented supreme success. It was the well-deserved reward for the tireless efforts of an artist who dared to say what others feared, bringing joy and comfort to millions of fans worldwide. However, behind the roaring applause and the magnificent exterior of that real estate lay hidden, turbulent corners that few truly understood. This house witnessed Richard's severe periods of decline, typically a dangerous incident related to his health and lifestyle in 1980, which left him with lingering consequences. Furthermore, the property itself could not stand firm against the destruction of nature when the historic 1994 earthquake leveled the original structures. When he passed away in 2005 after a long battle with illness, the land, even if it changed hands, still faintly carried the remnants of a once glorious but bitterly painful era. From the analytical perspective of our memory vault, the story of Richard Pryor's estate is a clear testament to human fragility in the face of temptation and the impermanent laws of nature. We often look at the mansions of celebrities with admiring eyes, thinking that living in them is absolute happiness. But in reality, the most solid walls cannot stop the undercurrents in the soul or the harshness of time. The abandonment and disappearance of the original house serve as a sorrowful metaphor. The spotlight may be incredibly brilliant, but it cannot protect a person from deep wounds in their private life. Don Cornelius. For audiences of the previous generation, especially those who loved the arts and culture of the 70s and 80s, Don Cornelius was a dapper gentleman, the father of the legendary television show Soul Train. He was the one who brought vibrant dances, trend-setting fashion, and cultural pride right into the living rooms of families every weekend. His home in Los Angeles was once the quiet retreat of a soul who dedicated his entire life to providing connection, confidence, and a solid launching pad for countless musical talents to shine in the artistic sky. But when the brilliant film reels faded into the past, the calm man who once mastered every stage had to face the harsh challenges of his twilight years. Declining health and difficulties in his personal life surrounded him in his final days. In 2012, the public was left in shock and endless sorrow upon hearing the news that he had chosen to leave this world right inside his own home in a heartbreakingly silent solitude. The house that once belonged to the man who created the most vibrant sounds in America suddenly became a mute space, preserving the tragic end of a great figure. Our memory vault believes that the passing of Don Cornelius and the emptiness left by his home is an incredibly painful reminder of loneliness in old age. We easily hail a person's contributions when they stand at the peak of glory, but often forget them when the stage lights go out. His abandoned house proves a reality that illustrious fame cannot replace the closeness and care of human connection in the most desperate moments of life. The core lesson we learn is to spend more time listening and understanding the loved ones around us, because sometimes behind a calm smile is a soul that desperately needs to be embraced. Nina Simone, completely different from lavish opulent castles. The property tied to the legendary Nina Simone's name was a tiny wooden house with just 3 rooms in North Carolina. She was a vocalist of immense power, a brilliant classical pianist, and a resilient icon who used music as a weapon to fight for justice. That humble house was the very place where little Eunice Wayman first touched the piano keys, igniting a grand artistic flame. It did not sparkle with gold, but it shone brightly with the value of roots being the incubator for one of the most influential voices of the 20th century. Despite carrying a profound historical significance, paradoxically, the childhood home of the famous singer was forgotten for a very long time. After she passed away in France, the small house gradually became dilapidated, peeling sinking amidst the indifference of the outside world and facing the risk of being completely demolished. It quietly endured the ravages of time, much like how Nina Simone herself had to silently endure pressures, disappointments, and feelings of loneliness in a harsh musical world. It took many years later for the efforts of the artistic community to purchase and begin the process of preserving this fragile yet priceless monument. Through the lens of our memory vault, the fact that Nina Simone's home was once abandoned is an expensive lesson on how we cherish cultural heritage. We tend to hail great achievements when the artist is at their peak, but easily forget the very first bricks that paved that path. This small and simple house reminds each of us that greatness does not necessarily have to be born from silk and velvet. Cherishing, preserving our roots and the most pristine values is the best way for us to express our deep gratitude to those who dedicated their entire lives to beautifying the art of humanity. Isaac Hayes. Moving to the 10th figure, we contemplate the life of Isaac Hayes, an outstanding individual who helped shape the face of soul music. He was a symbol of confidence, elegant style, and the strong pride of people of color. His massive mansion, located in the suburbs of Memphis, was once the envy of many, showcasing the status of a superstar with timeless hit songs. For middle-aged fans, that house was like a true palace, proving the well-deserved reward for a talented artist who always delivered musical works full of energy and endless inspiration. However, the solidity of brick walls could not shield a person from mortality. His highly unexpected passing in 2008, right in his own home, due to a sudden illness, left a permanent void that could never be filled. The tragedy did not stop there. When the soul of the house was gone, the massive estate immediately fell into severe financial troubles and was foreclosed by the bank. Even more painfully, a fire occurred a few years later, destroying most of the structure, turning a symbol of proud success into a pile of cold, desolate ashes standing bare against time. According to the analysis of our memory vault, the story of Isaac Hayes' mansion delivers an incredibly powerful message about the fragility of material wealth. A piece of real estate, no matter how majestic and expensive, will quickly become lifeless and wither when the warmth of its owner is gone. It shows us the bitter flip side of fame. Wealth and prestige can be accumulated over a lifetime, but can vanish in the blink of an eye due to unforeseen events. In the end, the only thing that overcomes the decay of time and the brutal flames is not luxurious villas, but the wonderful musical legacy he left in the hearts of his audience. Teddy Pendergrass. For audiences who lived through the glorious years of the 70s and 80s, Teddy Pendergrass is an irreplaceable icon of R&B music. Possessing a powerful, warm baritone voice and a highly masculine performance style, he easily conquered the hearts of millions of music lovers worldwide. His spacious mansion, located in the peaceful Penn Valley, was once seen as a well-deserved reward for the unyielding upward efforts of a black star. It was not just a lavish retreat, but a solid fortress protecting the private moments of the famous singer, where he enjoyed moments of ultimate glory before a tragedy struck that forever changed the trajectory of his life. A severe car accident in 1982 took away his ability to walk, forcing the energetic artist to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Although Teddy showed extraordinary willpower by continuing to sing and dedicate himself to his art, the difficulties of everyday life still silently surrounded him. After he passed away in 2010, the public was deeply saddened to hear that his home in Penn Valley faced the risk of bank foreclosure due to outstanding debts, along with complex legal disputes among family members. The house that once held the radiant smiles of a legend suddenly became the focal point of heavy financial worries. From the perspective of our memory vault, the story of Teddy Pendergrass's house does not carry the gloomy tones of a haunted relic. Rather, it reflects a very bare and heartbreaking reality of an artist's life. Even if you are a legend admired by millions, honored with countless prestigious awards, that fame cannot shelter you from the harsh financial pressures of real life. The desolation of this mansion after his passing is a poignant reminder for all of us about the importance of preparing carefully for the future. It shows that the greatest legacy lies not only in the immortal love songs left for the world, but also in full peaceful arrangements so that our loved ones do not fall into a spiral of disputes when we are gone. Mike Tyson. Although Mike Tyson is still present with us when mentioning abandoned properties once belonging to superstars, his former mansion in Ohio is a testament that cannot be ignored regarding the collapse of a personal empire. At his peak, when Mike was the youngest heavyweight boxing champion in history, the world seemed to fit in the palm of his hand. This colossal mansion was the perfect mirror reflecting the extreme extravagance and wild personality of his youth. The estate was so vast that it featured a magnificent indoor pool, a regulation basketball court, and even solid iron cages to keep his pet tigers. For sports fans at that time, this house was the ultimate symbol of strength, wealth, and a life without limits. Yet when the glories in the ring gradually faded, making way for turbulence in his personal life and poor financial management, Mike Tyson was forced to part ways with this massive property. For a long time afterward, the once gorgeous real estate was completely abandoned. Weeds grew wildly, covering the expensive stone pathways, the empty rooms were cold, and the pool gathered the dust of time. The dilapidated image of the house at that time made the public feel a sense of pity, aching for a legend who once possessed everything but let it all slip away. It was not until many years later that a religious organization purchased the land and converted it into a church, turning the indoor pool into a solemn sanctuary to serve the community. The Our Memory Vault channel asserts that the bizarre transformation of this mansion carries a deeply philosophical meaning about the ups and downs of human life. It represents the inevitable decay of glamorous material values built from the oversized ego of youth. However, the fact that a place once a symbol of extreme ostentation and luxury has now transformed into a solemn, quiet space to nourish the soul is a profoundly healing ending. Mike Tyson's old home is not merely a relic of the past, but an expensive lesson for our generation. True wealth does not lie in how many massive rooms you build, but in where you find peace after the storms of life. Evander Holyfield. Much like his peer, Evander Holyfield is a great living boxer, but the story of his mega mansion in Fayetteville, Georgia, is a sobering note to ponder about the price of ostentation. Nicknamed the Real Deal, Evander dedicated his youth pouring sweat and tears to rise to the pinnacle of glory. To reward himself for those extraordinary efforts, he built an unbelievably massive real estate property with 109 rooms, a private movie theater, a bowling alley, and a seemingly endless expanse of land. For those who watched his fiery matches, this mansion was like a championship trophy made of bricks and mortar, proving that all his arduous sacrifices had been rewarded with a king-like life. However, owning a castle does not mean you can easily maintain it forever. The enormous costs of maintenance operations, along with taxes and utility bills each year, became a massive financial burden, draining the wealth he had to trade with blood and tears. By 2012, financial tragedy struck when Evander Holyfield officially lost this mansion to the bank due to his inability to pay off debts. The mega mansion that was once a proud boast suddenly became an unbearable burden, a testament that even champions earning hundreds of millions of dollars can end up empty-handed if they lack prudence in managing personal assets. Later, it was purchased by rapper Rick Ross. The Our Memory Vault team believes that the reluctant change of ownership of this mega mansion is a classic lesson on the boundary between assets and liabilities. For audiences in their middle age, we understand even more deeply the importance of protecting what we have worked hard to build. Greatness in the ring cannot automatically bring survival skills in the business world or in managing expenses. Holyfield's giant mansion is a sharp reminder. We should not build houses that are too large just to prove our success to the outside world, because a happy home is not measured by the number of rooms, but by its ability to provide peace and financial security for the family in their twilight years. MC Hammer. Moving to the 14th figure, we look back at a pop culture phenomenon of the 90s, male singer MC Hammer, who created a global earthquake with his hit, You Can't Touch This. At the peak of his career, Hammer was not just a singer, but a symbol of dynamism, edgy fashion style, and ostentatious wealth. To match his superstar status, he built a spectacular mansion in Fremont Hills, California. This estate was equipped with the most luxurious amenities, from a state-of-the-art recording studio and a professional dance studio to numerous swimming pools and vast spaces to accommodate hundreds of staff friends and his entourage. That house was once the dream of millions of young people, symbolizing the fastest and most brilliant success in the entertainment industry. However, the spotlight that comes fast can also go out in the blink of an eye. Uncontrolled spending habits, maintaining a massive staff, and the rapidly changing tastes of the music market quickly pushed MC Hammer into a severe financial crisis. In just a short period, from a star possessing a massive fortune, he was forced to file for bankruptcy in 1996, with debts amounting to tens of millions of dollars. The dream mansion in Fremont Hills, which was once considered an eternal testament to success, had to be sold off to pay his debts. He had to move to a much more modest home, leaving behind an empty structure, closing a glorious but illusory chapter of his youth. Our Memory Vault views the loss of MC Hammer's mansion as a textbook case of the fragility of the illusion of fame and wealth. When we stand at the peak, the praises easily make us mistakenly believe that the cash flow will run endlessly. Although that house was not left to rot in ruins, it was abandoned in meaning to its creator. This story is a profound wake-up call for all of us who have passed half our lives. Never confuse luxury with sustainability. Controlling desires, living true to reality, and knowing how to appreciate core values are the most solid foundation to build a home that will accompany us to the end of our lives. Tupac Shakur. The 15th figure on the list is Tupac Shakur, a street poet, an immortal monument of hip-hop music who became the representative voice for the struggles, outrage, and aspirations of a generation of black youth. Unlike stars who like to flaunt their wealth, the house in Woodland Hills that Tupac rented and lived in with his fiancée Kidada Jones in 1995 carried a completely different meaning. For a young man who always had to bear the massive pressure of public expectations, relentless legal troubles, and media scrutiny, this house was hoped to be an oasis of peace. It was a place where he sought rare tranquility, trying to hold on to a simple everyday life, yearning to be loved and to be himself after hours of standing on a brilliantly lit stage. But peace seemed to be a far too luxurious gift for the fate of this talented artist. Tupac's life ended in an incredibly tragic and sudden way when he just turned 25, leaving behind countless unfinished artistic plans. He never had the chance to return to the house in Woodland Hills to build a family home as he wished. After his passing, the house changed hands and was renovated many times, but a tiny detail became a priceless legacy. The verses carved by Tupac himself into the concrete floor of the house still remain. Those words silently survive the test of time, becoming a mute witness to the presence of a great soul that once resided here. From the contemplative perspective of Our Memory Vault, the abandonment of Tupac's house does not lie in the ruins of the walls, but it manifests in the ultimate regret for a youth that stopped forever. That house lacks the figure of a man who should have been allowed to mature, to grow old, and to enjoy peace in his own home. The words carved in cement are stronger than any massive architectural structure because they are an echo from the heart of an artist longing for love. This story painfully reminds us that time is the most precious asset that no one can buy. Cherish every moment of peace under the roof of your home while you still can. Gerald Levert. For audiences who love the R&B music of the 80s and 90s, Gerald Levert is a voice that can never fade from memory. As the son of the legendary Eddie Levert of the famous group, the O'Jays, Gerald did not hide behind the shadow of a great father, but built his own brilliant independent career. With a thick, warm, and deeply emotional baritone voice, he touched the deepest corners of love, heartbreak, and the mature thoughts of adulthood. His house in Ohio was not just a retreat after exhausting tours, but it was also a symbol of self-made success, a quiet sanctuary where the talented artist could shed the stage lights to enjoy peaceful moments with his family and loved ones. However, destiny took away that golden voice far too soon. The highly sudden passing of Gerald Levert in 2006, when he had just turned 40, left boundless grief in the hearts of fans. More painfully, the house that was once filled with laughter and beautiful melodies suddenly fell into a state of desolation and coldness. A few years after he died, a fire of unknown origin broke out, burning and causing heavy damage to the estate. From a desirable home preserving the priceless memories of an artistic family, it turned into a scene of ruin and sorrow. The silence that engulfed the land was like a mournful, low note, replacing the bustling sounds that were once present there. Through the lens of Our Memory Vault, the story of Gerald Levert's home brings a profound contemplation on the fragility of material things. When the soul of the house, which is the very owner who breathed life into it, is no more, even the most solid brick walls become weak against the ravages of time and unexpected disasters. Even though that fire burned away the tangible artifacts, there is one thing that the flames absolutely could not touch: the wonderful musical legacy he dedicated to the world. The decay of his material estate only highlights the eternal value of his spiritual works, reminding us that ultimately the love and good values we give away are the true home that lives forever in the hearts of those left behind. 50 Cent. Although male rapper 50 Cent, whose real name is Curtis Jackson, is still highly active in the entertainment and business world, his former mega mansion in Connecticut is a vivid testament to the story of properties being abandoned in terms of their usage value. Rising from a remarkably difficult past, his explosive success in music brought him a massive fortune. To assert his peak status, he purchased the colossal estate that once belonged to Mike Tyson. This was not just a house, but a proud declaration to the whole world. This real estate property spanned over 50,000 square feet, boasting 19 bedrooms, 25 bathrooms, along with a nightclub, a basketball court, and even a recording studio inside. It represented the fierce desire of a young man to prove himself upon newly stepping to the height of fame. Yet that extravagant dream quickly turned into an extremely frustrating financial puzzle. Maintaining an absurdly large space consumed tens of thousands of dollars each month just for maintenance costs, utilities, and landscaping. When the practical needs of life changed, this giant house became superfluous and was gradually forgotten by its owner, who moved to other more suitable residences. The mega mansion was put up for sale in despair for years, standing bare on the real estate market like a lonely giant that no one wanted to take in. Finally, in 2019, it was sold for a mere price of just under $3 million, much lower than the massive amount the male rapper had once spent to own and renovate it. The Our Memory Vault channel views this event as a classic lesson in financial management and positioning life's values, especially poignant for audiences who have reached middle age. The story of this mansion proves a reality that greatness and happiness are not proportional to the number of square meters or the luxurious amenities we possess. A house that is too large, far exceeding the actual needs of a family, will eventually turn into an invisible prison, trapping the finances and mind of the owner himself. It reminds us of the art of living with just enough knowing how to appreciate cozy, practical spaces where family bonds are tightly knit rather than chasing after ostentatious outward illusions only to bear heavy consequences. Kanye West. Concluding the list is the story of an unfinished real estate project by Kanye West, a genius artist, but also full of controversies. Just like 50 Cent, Kanye is still present, but his property at Malibu Beach is a sorrowful example of wastefulness and impulsive ideas. In 2021, he spent over $57 million to own a unique concrete architectural masterpiece situated right on the ocean's edge, designed by a renowned Japanese architect. To anyone, it was a dream retreat, a priceless work of art that could not be valued by money, where a person could fully commune with nature, listening to the murmuring ocean waves to soothe the stresses of life. However, instead of cherishing and enjoying that masterpiece, his impulsiveness and restless desire for change led Kanye to decide to gut and completely renovate the inside of the house. The most basic systems required to sustain life, such as electricity, plumbing, and windows, were ruthlessly dismantled. But that renovation process was never completed. The gorgeous villa suddenly became a messy construction site, a cold, desolate concrete block, unlivable and unusable. It was left abandoned amidst the sun and wind of the ocean, becoming an empty, bare shell. Finally, this property had to suffer the fate of a fire sale on the market at a massive loss, closing a sad story about the destruction of beauty. From the perspective of our memory vault, Kanye West's ruins in Malibu are an incredibly sharp metaphor for the turmoil within the human soul. For an experienced generation of audiences, we understand that money can buy the most expensive assets, but it cannot buy peace of mind or a mature vision. Destroying a perfect home just for sudden impulsive whims, only to abandon it. Unfinished shows an immense waste, not only in terms of material, but also in artistic value. It is an expensive lesson on learning to appreciate what we currently have, knowing when to stop in the face of bottomless ambitions to find true stability in the soul, instead of constantly tearing everything apart and leaving behind a trail of desolate, broken pieces. Ladies and gentlemen, through the 18 stories of real estate properties that were once magnificent but are now sunk in silence, desolation, or incompletion, we realize incredibly profound life lessons. No matter how brilliant the aura is or how massive the fortune may be, the core value of a home always lies in love, peace, and the bond of family. Wealth cannot stop the impermanence of time, nor can it buy happiness if the warmth of human connection is missing. Our Memory Vault hopes that this video has brought you truly meaningful moments of reflection. We respectfully wish you always have a peaceful, warm life filled with joy beside your family and loved ones. To not miss our next fascinating stories, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button on our channel. Like the video and turn on the notification bell. Sincere thanks, and see you again.